your wedding day. Such memories. Your smiling face, the love in her eyes, promising of a lifelong journey of understanding and support. So what the fuck happened? You out the house, she got the car, and you're recovering on your homeboy's couch, or even worse, in your parents' basement. Life after marriage is not something most men are prepared for. Many don't even talk about the issues that affected what was supposed to be one of the best things that ever happened. What now? How does your life start over? It's time to talk about it. The Lame Show starts now.
Okay, guys, welcome to The Lame Show. We are your hosts, Daniil, Drew, Jamal, Goran,
Yo.
and Kier.
Yes, sir.
Yes, guys, we are back. Today's episode is a pretty fun one. We got some guests on board rocking with us. We're talking about personalities and how that affects, you during a divorce. Today we have Shirletta Armstrong from the Life Version podcast.
Hey.
All right. Hi, Shirletta.
Hey, Shirletta.
And we also have Brigid Galloway.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, Brigid. How you doing?
Hey, Brigid.
Brigid Galloway. And just a little bit about Brigid. She's an author. She's also a certified Enneagram instructor. Enneagram is a personality test. It breaks down, has 9 different energies, as they want to say, but has 9 different personality types, and she's certified to kind of read that. So the fellas were kind enough to do some homework, take their test. We got our scores. We got some questions. We want to chop it up with you guys. So first, I'll just have Shirletta and Brigid introduce themselves really quickly, and then we can kind of get the show started. Shirletta, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'm Shirletta Armstrong. I am the Life Virgin, the host of the Life Virgin podcast. I'm a certified life coach, and I have been divorced for 5 years after a 24-year marriage.
Wow.
I met Brigid through my first coaching cohort, and I got kind of fascinated with the personality thing. I am a nerd amongst a lot of other things, and that just fascinated me. And so it helped me to have some insight into myself and to my ex. And so I'm glad that Brigid's here today, because I think we're gonna have a good time with you guys. And I really want to talk to the narcissists, because I keep attracting them. And so Brigid's gonna have to help me out with that. So come on, Brigid, tell us about yourself.
Thanks. Brigid Galloway. I am a professional writer and Enneagram instructor. I've been divorced twice, so you think I should know better by now. The Enneagram has really given me a lot of insight into my own ego and where I can move to be a more healthy, whole person, so that when I am in another relationship, which I am now, I can show up in a more authentic way. So happy to be here today with you guys, and I'm really excited to see how the test went for you and what questions you might have.
Okay, all right. So,
well, how I came across it is I was on the Life Version podcast, and I heard this episode, and I just remember 30 minutes later just being mesmerized by, I wonder what's my personality type. And then I heard Brigid, I heard your personality type. It was similar to mine, and everything you was saying was exactly like how I was operating, how I was feeling. I was like, wow, I got to get the guys on board with this. So can you just break down what the different personality types are before we start going into what ours scores are?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are 9 types. Ennea is the Greek word for 9. This is a very old personality typing system. It predates the Briggs-Myers test, which some of you may be familiar with. A lot of corporations use that to help employees kind of find their niche, and a lot of people use that for personal discernment. But the Enneagram is a little different because it does have a spiritual component to it. And although it can be used secularly, it's not necessarily a spiritual tool, but I use it that way. And it basically says that there are 9 personality types.
Right.
that we all have, but one will resonate more closely with you, depending on how, just it's nature and nurture, right? So you're sort of born with a certain type of ego, and then the world influences you in different ways. So the 9 types are type 1, which is often called the perfectionist; type 2, which is called the caregiver or the helper; type 3, which is the achiever or the winner; type 4 is the individualist or the creative; type 5 is the investigator. Often these are, kind of the more nerdy people in the world, the observers. Type 6 are the team players. Type 7, which is my ego type.
Whoop, 7, holla. Sorry, that's a good thing.
The enthusiast. And type 7s go, woohoo.
Yeah, you see that? Look at that.
We just can't help ourselves. We just can't help ourselves. Type 8 are the often called the challengers. They're also called the commander. And that's a very interesting ego type, as they all are. And then the type 9 is called the peacemaker, or the, they're kind of the negotiator type of personality.
So I have a question. Do men exhibit one type over another?
Ooh, that is an excellent question.
That's a good question, G.
No, actually they don't.
Sound effects. Sorry, ladies.
That's funny. I love it.
No, men and women could be any
Either
of these
end of the
types.
spectrum. Yeah.
I'm depending on your gender and your orientation, you may show up in different ways than someone, of the other gender, but basically these are equal opportunity employers. So it really depends. A lot of it depends on what you really pride yourself on. That's how it shows up, and also on your fears. So those will dictate a lot. And there are a lot of nuances in the Enneagram. So for me as an ego type 7, I may show up a little differently than you do because of, my upbringing, my, the challenges I had as a kid, or just how, the fears that I have if I'm more anxious. And how I respond to the stressors in the world. So that can look a little different for each type. So I don't like to stereotype people. I do suggest that you try to pick a type that resonates most closely to you, because then once you can identify that ego, then you can really move into some great personal growth. And that's really what it's all about. It's not about finding your type and just sticking to it. It's about finding your type and then seeing where that growth can really happen, whether that's in your personal life or your professional life.
So when I took the personality test, there were certain questions that I was literally torn down the middle on some of the questions. And I happened to be with Daniil, who had already gotten his score and taken his test. And I was like, literally, I said, I kind of feel like both of these are, maybe a piece of me or whatever the case is. So he said, well, just leave that one blank and move on. So I don't know. Once we get to the scoring piece, I don't know. I feel like I need to go back and retake it and actually really dig in and figure out which one of those is more me to get an accurate version of my score or my personality.
No, you're overthinking it, bro. Just go what first hits you. That's you.
Just answer the question?
Yeah.
Yes, answer. I'm an overthinker, so I get it. I had trouble with that too, and I kept going, well, it's that one, but it's that one. No, but could be that. So just pick one. And I think I talked before about falling into multiple personality types, and how do you discern which personality type is really the one that you should be following. I'm sorry, guys, just co-opting your show.
No,
that's okay. That's all right. That's all right. When I took the test, I recognized that I came up with was the type 2. And that tells me I'm a great catch.
Oh,
That's right.
Hold on now.
A lot of people.
Now my real life wouldn't really tell you that story, but what is the I guess the degree of inaccuracy based on test in real life?
That's a great question, and only you can answer that question for yourself.
Okay.
I do find, though, because I use this in my professional life, just in dealing with my colleagues, and I don't tell them I'm working the Enneagram on you. I just know that there are these 9 types. And often I can hear people say things, and usually they're talking about their stressors, right? And I can hear things, and I know that, oh, you're a type 4. I work with a lot of type 4s because I'm in a creative profession.
So wait, Jamal's a type 4?
2.
No,
Okay.
he's not a type 4.
I'm the helper.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, or I might hear a type 2. I might hear some language that shows me, and it helps me communicate with that person better, because I recognize that there are certain things that are going to be triggering for them that wouldn't be triggering for me. There are going to be certain things that I can say to them to support them that's going to make them feel good about what they're doing in ways that another type might not connect with. So so it's every type has the positives and the negatives, right? there are 2 sides of every coin.
I liked my test results because it came back as helper, and really I feel like I've helped a lot of people, especially women, achieve certain things.
Well, I think I heard a little bit about that.
She did her homework.
Yeah,
Brigid did some homework.
I'm a helper, in the same sense of the Handmaid's Tale. So, could you be more than one? Could I be a creative and a helper?
Yep.
And
Yes.
Okay.
Well, okay. One will resonate more. You'll just kind of be drawn to one type, or you'll be able to recognize those traits. When typically when individuals are taking the test, I'm not sure where you guys are on your life journey, but I really suggest that you answer the questions as you would when you're kind of in the height of your ego, which means you're building your career, you're building your relationships. You have a lot of ambition and maybe a lot of stress too, because you're, usually this is, kind of early 30s when you're really coming into your own, right?
We passed that.
Yeah. So if you've done a lot of self-work already, maybe for example, if you have been in a relationship or been married and divorced and gone through that and really had to dig deep and kind of look at some stuff that's not so pleasant about yourself, then you may answer those questions in a different way than you would have when you were in your 20s or your 30s, when, you were a little more freewheeling and carefree and your priorities may have been a little different. So we're talking about, these are ego types. These are, when I say one is the perfectionist, that's their pride. I know the right thing to do. I know what's right, and I'm going to tell you about it, and people like that, and they'll get in your face, and they know all the rules. They know, the correct way to do anything, and they can be super annoying, or they can also be really, really helpful because they do have a lot of great information that they can share with you. Your type 2, caregivers, the nurturers, just sweetheart people who will do anything for you, literally give the shirt off their back, are me. Always, but you pride yourself on being helpful. And I know I have friends who are 2s, and see if this resonates with you. If sometimes with that 2, if they're not in a healthy place and I don't thank them adequately for helping me, man, I can get some some real blowback on that because Alex said, like, you don't appreciate what I did. And I'm like,
I would say when someone doesn't thank me in a way that I think is adequate, I don't give them blowback. I just remember, like, okay, now they're in this box now. I'll still help them, but
Oh, you keep score.
okay, if that's what you want to call it. But I'll still help them, but they're in this box now, so I know not to be disappointed when I do help them, not what I'm going to receive from them. I might get just a thank you. I might not get anything, but you're now in this box, so I now if I still want to help you, and I will, I know what to expect from them.
Yeah, and that is a very healthy approach. That's a very conscious approach, and that's what this is all about. Is really increasing your consciousness around, how you respond to other people. And I know I can make myself miserable because I'm not aware of certain aspects of my personality, and I'm doing it to myself.
Hey, Brigid.
Yeah.
I just wanted to piggyback off what you're saying. I take it you caught a couple of our episodes, right? You
Well, I was listening in before this one started.
Okay. Awesome. Got a sneak peek.
Brigid, is whole phase a personality?
I'm sorry.
Is whole phase someone having a whole phase? Is that a type of personality?
Whole phase. Oh, the whole phase.
Yeah.
That could be part of many of these personalities. So, that may be driven by insecurity. That may be driven by, like, a 7 could definitely have a whole phase.
And a type 2.
A type 2.
Absolutely.
A type 6 and a 9.
Type 6 and a 9.
Could definitely, wanting to be included and not be left out. And, a 7 can be kind of flighty, and, think the grass is always greener, right? So you're with one, in one relationship, and then like, I don't know, this one might be better. So that could be, it's definitely not, a healthy place to be. And, very rare that would be a healthy instinct. By from what I heard of you guys talking, I mean, it's, it might be fun, but
no, where I was going with it is, where I was going with my train of thought was, I think Shirletta had posed a question to you on her show as far as, our show is mainly about divorce and life after marriage. So I wanted to see, how does these personality traits affect the divorce process and life after marriage process? And maybe each guy can go around and tell you what their scores are. You kind of give us some feedback. I think that'd be kind of cool. You guys down with that?
Let's do it.
Before we go, I just want to know, can we know Shirletta's score so I could make a decision or if I want to holler or later?
Where's Shirletta?
We lost her.
Shirletta, you there?
Oh,
I think she dropped.
she dropped. She heard my personality score.
So
she's like, I'm out of here.
So you want to start with Jumo?
Okay, sure. I had a 7.
Wait, he had 7, but you had other.
Okay. I'll bring it up. I had, in type 1, I had a 3. Type 2, I had a 7. Type 3, I had a 5. Type 4, I had a 1. Type 5, I had a 6. Type 6, I had a 1. Type 7, I had a 5. Type 8, I had a 5. Type 9, I had a 3.
Okay, so my
highest was type 2 for the helper.
2. Okay.
But I had a 6 in type 5.
Okay, so that was your second one.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Having read the description of the types, do you just feel as your instinct that the type 2 fits your personality?
I would say type 2 and type 5.
Okay.
Definitely type 2, and I was happy to see I had a 5 in the leader category. I think that has taken on a leadership personality later in life than I did when I was a teen and early 20s.
Okay. Yeah. So, again, the Enneagram is all about movement. And you may have noticed if you've looked at the little diagram, there are arrows that point away from and to each number. And if you follow the arrow, if you go against the arrow, in other words, which, it takes effort to go against an arrow, so it's a good way to remember it, then you find what we call your path of integration. So for a 2, going against the arrow would take you into a more creative space of the 4. And that's a really healthy place for a 2 to be. Now, that can look like a lot of different things. It doesn't mean you turn into, a painter or a musician. It just means that you become more creative in the way you express yourself overall. And that feels really good. And that's just a very conscious, healthy place for you to be and to help other people. You might come up with creative ways to, assist others in your business or in your personal life. And you keep going, you keep pushing against the arrow. So then from the 4, you get into the healthy aspects of the 1 and so forth. So you can pick up the healthy aspects of every personality type. You can also pick up the unhealthy aspects if you go with the arrow, like, down the slide and disintegrate into the unhealthy traits of each type. So I think it's important to try to find the type that you feel best fits the way that you operate, the way that you move in the world, and then look closely at that type to see where you can move, where you can grow, and where you can learn more about yourself and be, a healthier, happier person. So specifically as a 2, have you had challenges in relationships? Is that something that you've struggled with?
Absolutely.
Oh boy,
I'm on this show.
Has he?
Oh my God.
Oh
Yeah?
my gosh.
The challenge is not crying. but
So
yeah,
how's that?
I've had major challenges, and I'm having challenges now, presently. So it's interesting to see the results, because I'm currently trying to, repair myself and relationships I've had and can currently have.
Shirletta's backstage. We're trying to get her back on.
So here, a cool part of the Enneagram is once you understand your type, it can also help you to be with a partner who is more compatible to you. Mm-hmm. And just in general terms, healthy people attract healthy people and vice versa, right? So if you're working on yourself, that's what we always say, look inside for the answers and, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, please. But really, the truth is, until I did, the work on myself, I couldn't be in a healthy relationship with somebody else.
Well said.
So understanding, what my hangups are and getting beyond those helps me be attractive to and also appreciate somebody else who's healthy. Because there have been times in my life where I didn't want to be with somebody who's healthy. It's like, oh, that's boring,
Brigid.
We got Shirletta back with us. Welcome back. We lost you for a minute.
It's interesting that you said that, because I think as a woman, we have a thing for bad boys. And we don't like the men and the boys that treat us the best. We're happiest when we're being dogged out and mistreated. And then we scratch our heads and be like, but why are you treating me like this? Well, that's what you want. You don't want the nice guy that's going to, hold your hand and walk with you and give you flowers. Well, when you get my age, you're like, I don't need a bad boy. I need a man who is going to do all those things that a man is supposed to do. So it's just crazy that you said that. But I think I resonate most with the number 8, but I'm a nerd. So I kind of fall into 5. Mm-hmm. But I'm definitely a commander. Definitely a commander.
I kind of want to hear about Shirletta's experiences with bad boys.
Wait, hold on. I have a question.
See what you started, Shirletta?
I just want to know, was there some doggy attached to that dogging out?
See what you started. You woke him up.
Hey, Brigid.
know.
Hey, Brigid. Before you get into that, I have a
Listen,
question.
Linda, listen. I just, I think women, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't speak for you, Brigid, but I know I've had my share of relationships with guys that were, I wouldn't want to bring them home, but I did. But, they weren't the.
Oh.
But you kicked them out afterwards.
Oh, man, listen. Oh, man. And wanting to walk on glass with bare feet, like get out and don't come back. But it's just easy to say, but it didn't happen like that. Because for some reason, the bad ones are the ones that pull on your heart the most. And they're hardest to detach yourself from. And they're toxic, but you just, for whatever reason, because the deficiencies in yourself, because I heard you talk about that, Brigid, whatever the things that you're dealing with yourself, you haven't gotten over that. And so you're drawn to that, which is absolutely insane. I don't understand that. Doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I'm not talking about my bad boy experiences with y'all.
So the fact that he's a 2 and he's creative, would being polyamorous be a creative way of expressing a relationship?
Oh.
I'd say that again. I didn't quite.
He said, would polyamory be a creative way to express a relationship? Can I answer?
Oh boy.
Yeah, you're good.
Too much work for me.
Oh, too much.
I can't keep it together with one person. You want me to keep it together with? No, I can't keep it together with a person who's supposed to be monogamous, and I'm supposed to be able to share with somebody. I don't share well. I don't play reindeer games very well, so that's a hard no for me.
That's okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not hurt.
No.
I'm not hurt
Who's
at
up
all.
He's
You're gonna miss
repositioning
out.
himself.
You're gonna miss out.
But to answer your question, that's a creative solution for sure. Whether or not it's going to work out well for you.
Well, I say no because I tend to become emotionally attached, and I just don't want to share. I'm sorry. And I teach my preschool kids, you have to share. No, I'm not sharing with that. So that's just me.
Yeah, polyamory is just like preschool. We just go back to preschool. We share, share.
No. I'm not big girl enough to do that type of sharing.
So next up,
we're talking about crayons.
Right,
exactly.
right. His crayons are
and other things.
edible.
Which is why I'm not married now. Okay, so let's not go there.
Okay.
So next up we have Goran. Goran, you remember your high score?
Yeah, I'm a 4.
Oh, okay. There's that creative right there.
Yeah. Oh, you're creative.
Yeah.
All right.
So, fours, tell me about that in a relationship. So, how have you had issues in a relationship, or what's been successful for you in a relationship as a 4?
Yeah. I mean, I've had kind of the opposite ends of both spectrums, right? I had healthy relationships, and in the same relationship, I've had healthy times as well as unhealthy times. And I don't know if that was because I was being too creative or not creative enough.
What's too creative?
I don't think you're being too creative, bro.
Yeah, I mean, 4s can, are awesome to be with in a relationship because they are creative and they do bring a lot of, really cool, you might, like be into, music or art or, you might write, beautiful, letters or text messages to your girlfriend, or, you might bring that, literally bring that creativity into the relationship in so many ways. You might cook amazing meals or just have creative ways of expressing yourself. But I found I was married to a 4 and he had a real dark side that,
really?
Oh, wait now.
This got serious quick.
Because he would shut down and it was like, no one understands me, and he would get in this mood, and it was really hard to communicate and he didn't want to get beyond it was the problem. Because he was an artist and that was part of his persona was, to be this moody, brooding artist. And that's one of the things that contributed to the demise of our relationship was that, he just couldn't let go of some of the things that had happened to him in his childhood. And he, kind of carried that with him. Now I know lots of creative people, lots of 4s who, don't present that way, who are just like very, they're cool to be with because they have that creative energy, and there's, so much possibility in that.
So would you say a number 4 is probably a more fun personality type since they are creative?
They can be, if they don't get into, they can get into that negative energy though. So, that's sort of the, that's the flip side, that creative, they can isolate themselves. That's what happens. They become self-isolating and feel like, no one understands them, or that, their experience is different than everyone else's. And that can put up barriers, in relationships and yeah.
I want to do a temper.
Type 4 also says intuitive and reserved type there. So this is definitely
I'm trying to do a temperature
guy.
check. Let me put my hand on the pulse. Thoughts, Goran? What do you think so far about the 4?
No, I think that's spot on.
Wow.
Yeah, I can be pretty moody.
Yeah. So for the 4 too, like you move into that healthy space when you really own your truth and you know who you are, and you don't make excuses, and you don't feel like you're, apart from anything or anyone. It's who you are, and you just show up, and you don't, you can just really be fully expressed as that creative entity.
Brigid, have you met Goran?
Yeah, have you met
strange.
I was
kind of.
Are you here?
Yeah, like have you guys met before?
Amazing.
Maybe that's my ex.
Oh. Wow. I read you like a book over here.
Wow.
I'm kind of scared now.
It is freaky, you guys, because I mean the Enneagram, it totally nails me every time. And yes, there are, we aren't cookie cutters, but there's just a lot of truth to it. And in that, it can be really helpful.
Cool.
All right, who else?
Kira's up next.
So I got a question. I already told you I skipped some of the questions. So I just looked at it, and it said I answered 34 out of the 38 questions. So
why don't you answer them all and come back?
I could, but I have to take the whole test again.
No, just go what you got. I skipped
So
some
my high score is a 5. I actually got a 5 in a couple of areas there.
Okay.
Which one seems more like you based off of what you know about yourself?
So type 5 says the thinker, the perceptive, and the cerebral type. So tell me about type 5.
I like type 5.
Tell me about type 5.
Okay, so here's the good stuff on the 5s, and then I'll give you the
negative stuff.
The not so good.
So 5s are what we call the head types. We spend a lot of time. I go to the 5 when I'm in a really healthy place, so I understand this a little bit. So they do tend to be intellectual. They're curious about things. Like maybe as a little kid, you looked up at the stars and you wondered, like, is there life out there? And what else is there? And, you may have spent a lot of time by yourself, actually. And
I'm an only child. Well,
perfectly happy. Were you an only child?
Well, I have a half brother, but we didn't. Okay. I grew up in a household by myself, so it was just me.
Yeah. So 5s can be kind of introverted, and they can, and which is not an unhealthy thing for them necessarily, because they can have this like great interior world where you might read, or that might mean or being online, gathering information. You tend to be experts in various things, and that could be any given thing. It doesn't have to be a scientist. You could be an expert in music. You could be an expert in, like my son is a 5. He is an expert in like video games and different, tech things. Like he's really into technology, and that's where his focus goes. fives, and that's another thing. Fives have this beautiful focus that a lot of the types are kind of scattered, but they really can hone in on information and problem solving, and so they can be a great member of your team because they're going to gather all this knowledge and bring it to whatever they're doing. So the flip side of the five, though, is that there's always the flip side. They can get too compulsive and withdraw too much. They can become sort of scattered, and that can be like they have too many things they're trying to learn about or accumulate, and they can withdraw too much. So
I'm gonna take this thing again. I'm gonna answer all 38 questions.
Yeah, that is kind of five-ish. Like, oh well,
that's a five answer.
Yeah, that's a five answer, right? Okay.
Yeah. So the cool thing about the five, though, when they do own that whatever that is, that expertise, they can really move into a place of whether they move into that commander place, that leader place. So someone who is, and when you think of, and I'm just going to use this as an example, I'm not exactly sure that he's a five, but like Bill Gates, total nerd, but man, like he took that knowledge and created, this amazing, dynasty. So,
and I just want to say, and he got his wife to convince his wife that he could have a girlfriend while they got married.
Which is incredible.
Right.
Like, he's such a big nerd. So anyway, but he's a gazillionaire too. So sorry, Bill.
I like how she threw that in there, right?
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one.
But you see what I mean? Like he took that knowledge and really elevated it into into a leadership position. So that, typically when we think of fives, we think of people who are, back in the laboratory or, that are the more reserved types. But when they really integrate and own that knowledge, they can move into these very dynamic roles within their family or within an organization.
Gotcha.
All right. Okay. We're going to move down the line because running short on time here.
Yeah.
We're going to get to Andrew. We're very curious about Andrew's results.
So I think I'm a little bipolar because I have 3 types with the same exact score.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's that?
So type 1 I had a 5, type 2 I had a 5, and type 8 I had a 5. Those are my high scores.
So say that again. So 2, 5, and 8?
1, 2, and 8 were all
1,
3
2,
5s.
and 8.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one really spoke to you, though? Like when you read the description of the type, which one did you feel like, that
Probably type 1 and 2.
Okay. Okay. So the let me ask you this: what do you do? Professionally, or like, what's your?
I'm in the tech world. I'm an engineer. I'm an engineer in the IT world.
You're in an IT role?
Yeah, an engineer.
Okay. And how do you describe what you do as an IT professional?
It's basically the same every day. It's tedious. It's the same thing every day.
It's the same thing every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a problem solver?
Yes.
Okay. So would you, if you were interviewing for a job and you were going to tell me, like what you're most proud of, would you say it's problem solving or would you say it's helping other people?
Both. Problem solving.
Okay. So I would, again, I can't type you just based on this, but that sounds more like a 1 then. Okay. Because, ones know what's right and they see the answers and they know the answers. And that's an awesome, attribute to have, to be able to, to see through a lot of data or a lot of options and have that clarity. So here's the thing too, and I don't want to, get into too much. There's so much to the Enneagram, and I'm just like giving you a little snippet. And I only know a little snippet too. I mean, there are people who, spend their whole lives, studying this. But there's also a thing called wings within the Enneagram, and those are the adjacent numbers on either side of your dominant type number. So as a 1, you may have a very strong, what we call a 2 wing, which means that, and that kind of flavors how you show up as that perfectionist or as that person who knows what's right. So you may dip into that sense of like, I know how to get things done, and I know the correct way to do things, and I'm pretty happy that I'm also helping people about that. So it can kind of flavor that that personality type. Now, of course, the 1 can get get sideways as well, and just wanting to be right and wanting to know, wanting to have that information, right?
Go ahead.
Got him.
Please.
Got him.
You need some milk.
Yeah,
Wow.
and they can pick up some of the traits of the 4, and we were talking before about the 4 and how they can sort of isolate. The 1 can do that too. The 1 can kind of say, I know what's going to make this company work well, but you guys are not respecting me, so I'm taking my knowledge and going home. I'm gonna shut down.
So is that the same in relationships, Brigid, for the 1?
Yeah.
Relationships. Okay.
Yes.
Damn.
Yes. So
Is it more that I can't have my way, so I leave? Is that what it's kind of like? I'm not picking. I'm just asking.
Shirletta,
I'm just asking.
I thought we were cool.
So say that again. I didn't quite.
Love you, friend. Love you. But is it like I can't have my way, so I'm going to leave because you're not seeing me, you're not hearing me?
Wow.
Is it more of that? And I don't mean can't have my way like I'm going to stomp off, but you're not seeing me, you're not hearing what I'm saying. I don't feel heard and respected.
Yes.
Is that what it? Okay.
Yes. So for 1,
I cleaned it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
You could say it's the lame show, Drew. If you don't get what you want, you out.
I'll tell you what.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
I'll tell you what. He made me time my route from the highway to my house because he thought his way was faster.
That's funny.
Okay, I had to get a watch and time how fast I got from LIE to the front of my doorstep to prove him wrong. He's a 1. I'm telling you. Thank you.
That's crazy.
So 1s can get kind of serious about things sometimes, and when they get stressed and they're trying to like keep everything in line and everything the way it's supposed to be. So the real antidote to that is to have fun, is to lighten up, is to find some joy, to find find the thing that makes you joyful. Being in a relationship with a person who is joyful and positive is going to be helpful to a 1, because it's going to help them stay out of that space of always having to have things correct and lined up and just so. And they're going to have to learn how to get over the fact that their partner may not line up their shoes just exactly the way they want them to, or put the dishes in the dishwasher in the
right way.
Is that your girl? Is that your girl?
Yeah.
I'm writing down the date and time. Hold on.
Taking the test. Wow.
Wow. Crazy. That's crazy. So with the 1, so real quick, what's the best person for each Enneagram that represents the guys there? I think the 1, the 2. I think we had a 1, a 2, a 5,
And a 4.
a 4.
And a
You're
7.
2,
And a 7.
a 7. So what would the best?
1, 2,
4, 5, and 7.
7.
1, 2,
Okay. So, well, in general terms, and I said this before, healthy goes well with healthy. So, and there's a great little, if you Google Enneagram compatibility, you can read about how each type can be compatible with any other type, right? there are some types that I do think it's harder, where they just really are going to always have a little more conflict, and are going to have to really bring it and be very healthy in order to have a successful relationship. I do think there's something to be said for, being with somebody who is your integrated type. So, for example, with the 7, being with someone who's a 5 can be helpful, because that's your point of integration. So, or someone who has those traits where they're focused. 7s can be scattered. So being with somebody who's focused is helpful. For the 1, as I said, being with somebody who kind of pulls you out of that set and fixed thinking, and who maybe is a little more creative. So maybe either a 4 or 7 could be a good, counterbalance to that 1, in the space where they need to be right. Now, again, you got to be healthy, because if you're in that negative space where, you've got to have control over everything, you're not going to be happy with anybody, no matter what.
True.
And I do know people who are of the same type who have great relationships. So, that can happen as well. But I do think a lot of times you really have an opportunity to learn and grow about yourself when you're with someone who is of a different type, who brings a different energy to your relationship. I'm in an amazing relationship right now with a man who's an 8, and I just love it, because he has this drive and this determination, and he's done a lot of self-work. So he's also got a lot of the beautiful 2 characteristics, and he's moved into that servant leader role in what he does, and it's amazing. It's really very inspiring to me to be with somebody who is in that energy set. So, and he's not afraid of stuff. So, like, where I can be kind of like scaredy, he's like, let's go for it. And I need that. So I think that's a great, rather than saying, oh, if you're a, 7, you should be with an 8. It's more a matter of like looking at your fears and finding someone to counterbalance that.
I was just going to say balance. I was just thinking balance.
If you're with somebody who shares your anxieties, you're going to
tumble.
You're just going to feed each other.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking that too. Balance, someone to balance you. And you said it right before I was able to.
No, she definitely hit it on it. Now, for the sake of time, we could be here for the next 2 hours. This is so interesting. We might have to do a part 2 to this one.
That would
we got some guests sitting in the queue as well. Does anyone have any final thoughts, final words you want to say quickly?
No, I think this was a very, very interesting. I think you really definitely touched on a lot of my guys here. I've known these guys for a long time, so I think
20 years plus,
eye-opening.
Right.
I just want to tell Shirletta, sharing is caring.
All right.
Stop it, Maul.
All right. I'm gonna close this out because we have, like I said, we were a little bit over schedule. We got a couple people sitting in the wings there. All right. So thank you for listening to The Lame Show. We put down another great episode today in regards to personalities. Thank you to Shirletta and Brigid. If you haven't done so already, listen to all the other episodes out there. We're up to 25 now. If you want to support the show, we'd love to have you support us. Go to buymeacoffee.com/thelameshow. We're now accepting sponsorship, $5 a drink, and you can do a $10 monthly sponsorship. Shout out to the Super Friends. Our goal right now is 5,000 downloads by July 31st. We're cracking 4,500. We're a little ahead of schedule, so keep hitting them downloads. Keep supporting it. And what else? Clubhouse on Monday. And finally, again, I want Shirletta and Brigid just close us out as far as promoting your podcast and your book. Show you guys some love on The Lame Show. Then we'll wrap it up.
Awesome. Well, as I said earlier, I'm Shirletta. I am the Life Virgin, the host of the podcast, The Life Virgin Certified Life Coach. I love to have you guys listen to me. This has been fun. Yeah. I have been waiting to meet you guys, and maybe one day I can fly up to New York and see your real spot, because y'all are fancy and stuff.
Hey, you fancy, huh? We fancy.
I absolutely love it. So thanks for having me, and I look forward to part 2.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Brigid?
Yeah. So Brigid Galloway, Enneagram instructor and author of the book called The Nature of Things, which is available on Amazon. So
cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies, very much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, guys.
See everyone next week.
This was a blast. Thank you.
Lame show.
All right.
We out.
We're out.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.